Hi everyone, welcome to episode 39 of Parenting Autism. Thanks for taking part of your day out to listen to our podcast. We really appreciate it. I'm joined by my lovely wife, Sandy.
Hello.
Hello. And today we're going to be answering some questions that have been posted on social media recently. And Sandy, I'm going to turn it over to you because you have the questions and we'll provide the answers.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, so I want to welcome anybody if this is your first time joining us. We don't always do Q&A, but we did it one other time, and I've had some questions coming in, like Chris said, on social media, and then also we get questions in our everyday life and also through emails. So I chose 5 that we're going to answer today, and the first one is about enzymes and probiotic, and someone wanted to know which digestive enzyme and which probiotic do we give to Bryce?
Mm-hmm.
And so the answer to that is we don't give him a digestive enzyme. We do give him a probiotic. It's called Gut Pro. And I know you did a lot of our research as to the supplements when we started putting him on them, which we've had him on a pretty good regimen for about a year and a half, 2 years, you'd say?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. And we used to have him on many. In fact, we did a podcast episode earlier last year that kind of spelled everything out. But as with anybody's health, things change. Like I know for me, I've taken different type of vitamins as my body has different needs. And it's the same thing for Bryce. So I imagine it's going to be the same thing for any child out there. But we all do kind of reach out to each other to get ideas as to what's working for you and what are some ideas. So
yeah, the Gut Pro, I did a lot of research on, and it seems to be a high quality supplement. But now that we're this far in with his supplements and other things that we give him, I have a new opinion, and it just dawned on me the other day when I was looking to refill his fish oil supplement. So I just took a few minutes and did a little more research. Previously, we were giving him Nordic Naturals cod liver oil in liquid form. And so I went to go reorder. I'm like, well, let me see what else is out there now. And I came across another brand that we can list in the show notes. But it's so new. I know
it just arrived literally today.
Of my head. But in any case, it's the finest fish oil in the world, whatever. But it had a lot of great reviews and the same or better content of the DHA for Bryce. So I think I'm of the belief that you don't have to stick with one supplement for one type of thing. It might just be even better to switch it up once in a while because you don't know exactly what you're getting in the supplement, and who knows if you try a different kind of the same kind, if you will, like the fish oil, you may see different benefits from a different manufacturer, and that's my new take on it. So
yeah, I mean, I agree. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about here is it's not always the same, and it's not a rigid path that we follow on this. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not the same things, but we have found that the importance for Bryce to have the fish liver oil or cod liver oil, the fish oil, I always call it, has been very important for him, especially with his situation, having had a brain injury since, the week of his birth.
And stroke.
I know when I left the hospital, I was nursing him, and the doctor told me the importance of me continuing to take fish oil because I took it during my pregnancy. And he says that is like the one most important thing that you can do to help Bryce's brain heal.
Yeah.
And so I was able to do that for the 18 months that he nursed and keep fish oil in his system. So I'm really happy that he has that. I don't know that every child needs that, but this is a neurological disorder.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
So
and as
that's
far
something
as
we found to be helpful.
The Gut Pro goes, the probiotic that we're using, I'm probably even going to switch that up the next time we need some.
Yeah, you had mentioned that.
And the bottle is small, but it lasts a very long time. Like we've had it over a year now.
Because your dose is so small.
Because the dose is so small. So has it helped with his digestion? I believe so. I believe when he uses it, his stools are softer than, normal. I mean, he if he didn't have any supplements, I know that he would just be very constipated.
Correct.
And it would be difficult for him. So when we go to reorder that, we'll probably order something new just to change that.
Yeah. So right now we have the Gut Pro, we have the liver oil, the cod liver oil. We know that he has a deficiency in vitamin D, and so we do vitamin D3, and they're chewies. And to Bryce, those are his candies. He gets 3 of those a day.
And those are through Nordic Naturals also.
Okay, very good. And he loves those. He has no complaints about any of this. I mean, it's part of his.
He takes it
it's
all
part of his routine in life, and he loves it.
Yeah, we mix it with natural apple juice that doesn't have any sugar added. It's
not the D3; those are chewies. But
right.
the other multivitamin, stuff, which I was going to mention next, is we're using Simple Spectrum.
Yep.
And that's something that we just started about a month ago, and we had him on an Agape multivitamin liquid vitamin before, and the Simple Spectrum is a powder. So we weren't sure how he would do switching from liquid to powder, but then, like you just mentioned, we found the unfiltered apple juice, which is delicious.
Yeah,
we actually got it to help me with my health issues, and then we're like, ooh, let's try this with Bryce's Simple Spectrum. And we tell him that it's his astronaut juice because he wants to be an astronaut. And so he asks for it.
Yeah.
I mean, he has no resistance to taking it at all. Our main goal with making that switch, which was a big one, prior to that, in addition to the Agape multivitamin and the other 3 things I just listed, he had a couple of other things that he was taking. And
he was taking carnitine.
And creatine, or what was the other one? Another one that sounded like that.
Carnosine.
Carnitine. Yeah. So the goal was if we could give him something that would still give him all that he needs, but it was fewer bottles that we had to purchase and space in our refrigerator, and to simplify it a little bit, and we didn't see any regression, then that would be a wonderful thing. And I have not seen any regression at all. And if anything, we've seen him progressing lately. And I think we just have the right combination of therapies and supplements right now that he is flourishing.
And it is. It's hard to tell, sometimes what's working and what isn't working, because you have growth spurts, you have brain development, you have just, you have these milestones. And then we were just talking today how he's just more interested in understanding Paw Patrol, Mickey Mouse, so he's definitely progressing.
Yes.
And, is it therapy? Is it school? Is it ABA? Is it supplements? Or is it all of them? We don't know, but we're thankful.
It just seems like we have the perfect combination right now that we're really seeing him thrive.
Yeah. And the carnitine was low. We tested for that through his genetic doctor, and it was low about 1.5 years ago. And so we went back and retested him, and it was in the normal range, which they said is normal, happens normally, because as kids grow up, their diet changes. They're introduced to more foods that have this ingredient that produces that. So we're able to, take that individual supplement off of our list. Yes. And so that was good.
It is good. And I'm glad you mentioned food, because I do think that diet and what each child eats certainly contributes to what their needs are as well, as far as digestive enzymes or probiotic or supplements to fill the gaps, so to speak.
Yeah.
So every child is going to be different in that way as well, because those who consume fewer nutrients through foods, they may need more than Bryce needs, because Bryce is a pretty good eater.
Right. And I would just say also just be careful of sugars. Bryce only drinks water.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what candy is, and he doesn't eat anything with the red number 9 or whatever.
He doesn't eat the cereals and
is.
food colors. And
So all of those things can contribute to behaviors or the magnitude of behaviors. So we felt it was important to eliminate those, and so we did.
Yeah. So question number 2, and this came from someone who does not have children on the spectrum, but is kind of wanting to know how, I guess, the right things to say to families like ours. Mm-hmm. So it's a little complicated, but the question was, what can be the most helpful thing that parents can say or do? And what is the most unhelpful thing that they can say or do when it comes to friendships with kids who have ASD and with their parents? Mm-hmm. So I understand what she's asking. What is your take on that?
It's kind of like adults without kids giving parents advice who have kids about their kids. I feel like it goes along that same line. Here comes Bryce.
Yeah, hold on one moment. Hi, honey.
What's up?
Excuse me?
Yes.
Sir?
I would like to go find a remote for Pooh Bear.
Oh, well, Pooh Bear comes on after the podcast. Okay?
You can do it.
We'll do it right after the podcast.
Okay. What, Mommy?
Yes.
Where's the remote controller?
We'll get it when Winnie the Pooh is ready to come on.
Yep. I think he's coming out at 5 o'clock right after the podcast, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Let me
All right.
finish, so then that way
Yeah.
you can watch Pooh.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Oh,
All right.
Slam the door.
It's all good. Okay.
Okay. So anyway, I was comparing it to somebody without kids giving somebody with kids advice about their kids.
Well,
because
yeah.
it's that different, I think what you could do to help families that have kids with autism is to offer to babysit. And that is a great relief to those parents that have kids on the spectrum. If, at least offer to babysit their kids, and you'll get a glimpse into their world and what behaviors can look like. Some behaviors only occur with the parents, and so you may not see all of the behaviors,
and you can be thankful for that.
Yes, and you can get to know their children and the quirks and everything that goes along with it, and then you might have a better understanding of what to say and how to say it. But it's a delicate situation when you try to give autism parents advice.
Well, and I think her question was, what's most helpful and the most unhelpful thing they can say and do. And I'm going to piggyback on what you just said about watching the kids, which may give the parents relief and they get insight. But I know right now for me is if parents who don't have children on the spectrum, if they could, take social opportunities with Bryce, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't be nervous or concerned about your children playing with Bryce, because he's not contagious.
Right.
And he is a little bit overly social in the sense that, he might want to kiss them, because if he thinks he's having fun and he loves them, he's very affectionate.
Kisses,
he's affectionate.
So we're working on personal
space. And we're working
space.
on that. But, you're asking what you can do as a parent. And I think just including him and trying to understand him. And even a step beyond that is explaining to your child that, hey, you want to play with kids who are different. It's okay if kids are different. Some kids do this. And the more a parent can understand it and explain it to their child, and that child becomes accepting,
right,
then that is, to me, the number one best thing that a parent can do right now to help in our world.
Yeah.
More so than watching Bryce. Bryce. I'd rather see them help their kids get educated to understand the difference, and then
that is important.
Reach out to us and say, hey, does Bryce want to come and play?
Yeah.
I know he can't do the birthday party circuit right now because that is overwhelming for him, and we're actually going to take him to one of our peers that is on the spectrum, which that's a little more helpful because the mom gets it, and but there's still plenty of things that he can do and that he likes to do, and that Bryce actually wants to do. Bryce wants to socialize. He just doesn't know how to do it. Yep. So to me, that's one of the most helpful things that a parent can say and do right now.
Another helpful thing is to give grace.
Yes.
Give grace to those parents that have kids on the spectrum. That's all we're asking for. That's all we need is just a little more understanding in social and public situations.
Yeah.
Spanking doesn't cure everything with kids with autism. And in our case, it does the exact opposite. It makes things much, much worse for days and weeks if that were to happen, So,
or if you even raise your voice at him or speak firmly, it melts him down. It's like you have to just take a whole different approach. But yeah, I have very much learned to not judge anybody else when I'm out in public. I saw somebody the other day, and the child was screaming in the parking lot, and the dad just picked her up under his arm to carry her in the store. And I felt for him because I thought, I don't care if it's even a 3-year-old just having a true blue tantrum, or maybe they have other issues, because I know I've certainly been in that spot.
Right.
Giving that grace, not placing a quick judgment, just as we shouldn't do with anybody in life.
And,
but
we may be having a moment with our child, and, a parent may be there with typical kids, and they may say something like, oh, all 6-year-olds do that.
So there's the what not to say there.
That's what not to say. Even though your 6-year-old may have done that same thing, it's we need a break. We just give us a break.
Yeah.
And, it's helpful and hurtful at the same time. It's helpful to know, yes, that's a normal behavior, especially for us who only have one child, but it can be hurtful because it's whatever behavior is occurring in addition to whatever else has happened.
Yeah. And I feel like I just don't want to be that parent's like, well, you just don't know my situation so much worse, because I'm an optimistic, positive person, and I don't want to think that I have the worst situation, because I know that I don't. But I also know that I really do believe that parenting a child that is on the spectrum, those situations and those behaviors, they really are more intense and more difficult, and in an entirely different category than of a neurotypical child. And you don't want to really think that, but it's just the reality of it. And I know what you're saying, because they are trying to be helpful, and I've definitely had that said to me a lot. Oh, my child does that. Oh, my child does that. Oh, my child, and it's like they're trying to just make us feel like, okay, he's just quote unquote normal, like he's like any other child. And I appreciate that. But then it's like you said, then there's also a hurt to that, because I'm too weary to go into the depth of discussion of, well, I wish that were the case, but it's really not, and you don't see everything. But I normally would just politely nod, and I'm like, yeah, I know what you're saying, but it's really not quite the same. So it's probably better to just give a hug. If you know what that parent, and that's your friend, and there's something that's their favorite, like I love a chai tea and a lemon loaf from Starbucks, you know what I mean? Like everybody's got their thing that they really like. If you listen to your friends, you'll pick up on what their favorite, like you love chocolate. Like I know that will always make you happy. You know what I mean? Like really, it's true. So every person has those things, that just a little gift of love, right? Surprise your friend with that one day, and just send them a note and say, I hope you have a wonderful day. Yep. That is received so much more than trying to assure them that their child's like every other child, trying to make them feel better. Because I can't explain why, but it just doesn't set right with either one of us. And we've talked about it before, not in great depth, but yeah, it hits us both kind of like, I'd rather you just give me a hug, or a kind word or a sweet note. That's the best thing. And then again, the social part right now, every time a mom, and there are moms that are like, anytime you want Bryce to come and play with my kids, that'd be great. Yeah. That right now means the world to me.
Yeah. And just other parents, keep in mind that, sometimes are better than others for us to go out and be social. It just depends on what the week has been like, what behaviors we're battling at the moment. Maybe we feel it's easier to stay home sometimes rather than go out and socialize or play with other children with social interactions, so don't be offended if we say, no, it's not a good time.
I'll just put it on the calendar for the future, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think to sum this up, as we're talking about it, it would be fewer words, more actions of kindness. Yeah. That would be the best thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. All right, number 3. How did you decide between homeschooling and public school?
Well, that was an easy one for us.
It wasn't though, because it was kind of forced, right?
Right. He went through pre-K and VPK very well. He went into kindergarten, and it wasn't but a couple of weeks in that we had the meeting, and we were kind of prepared for it because we knew it was a crapshoot if he could make it or not in kindergarten with, however many other kids in the class and Bryce needing extra assistance. So I was kind of already prepared for the bad news. And we had talked about putting him into a private school prior to the public school kindergarten. But in the end, we decided on the public school. And when we had that meeting, it came to our realization, whether he was in public school or private school, that they would just not have the assistance that Bryce needed in that environment. He needs one-on-one assistance with learning because he is very distracted and cannot stay on task without somebody sitting there next to him and guiding him through things and helping him along the way and cheering him on. Those types of things. He needs those things. And thankfully, we're in a position that I can teach him at home. So it's been a welcome sigh of relief almost that we have him home, teaching him with everything that's going on in public school nowadays, and now with this coronavirus and everything else. It's just all the chips fell into place, and it's been a very good experience for us homeschooling him.
It is. And I think for all the question marks that we had going into his kindergarten year, because we knew like with the VPK, he had supports there. He wasn't working individually, but he did okay. Mm-hmm. There were areas obviously that needed improvement, and we really had him there for the social aspect.
Right.
But
it's like group fun.
Yeah, he did okay, and he learned so much from that. But we knew we didn't want to just put him in an autism unit, so we wanted to give him the chance in the regular classroom with support, but we knew it couldn't be, the entire day of support, and we really didn't feel led to get an advocate and fight for him to get somebody ABA all day. We just didn't, it wasn't laid on our hearts to do that. We said, let's just give this a try. We knew that we had a principal and an ESE coordinator and a teacher who genuinely cared and was there to give him his best shot. All the teachers, actually, because he had other teachers. Everybody gave him his best shot for those 6 weeks. But it just wasn't meant to be.
He did have an assistant in the classroom, but only for a short time period during the day. So it just wasn't enough for him. Correct. And I'm very thankful for the teacher and the ESE coordinator recognizing that, hey, let's nip this in the bud early because we don't want to get halfway through the school year and say, hey, he hasn't learned a darn thing.
Right.
You got to homeschool him. So I'm very thankful that happened within the first few weeks of school, and they realized, hey, he's paying attention to other things, and
he just couldn't stay focused.
He couldn't stay focused.
Actually, if she left him, then when she came back, it was exactly how she left him, just sitting there. He wasn't, because he's not, not socializing with anybody else.
Right.
He just didn't know what to do. He didn't have the comprehension or discipline.
Or somebody to keep him there on task.
Or somebody to keep him on task to do what he needed to do.
Yeah. So it's been a blessing.
Yeah. So for us, it like I said, as difficult it was to make a decision to put him into the Streamline, it was a much easier decision to bring him into homeschooling, and we've had zero regrets.
And just to piggyback on the homeschool, what we're doing now is Time for Learning. That's an online curriculum that gives you also materials that you can download and print to help with lessons. We're doing Reading Eggs, which comes with reading and math seeds, they call it. So that's the mathematics portion of Reading Eggs. And I also threw in there the ABC Mouse, because it's free for teachers. So, but he has not taken to ABC Mouse like he has the others. So I'm just doing the other ones plus table time here in his bedroom/classroom, sight words, Bible verses, and writing skills here in the classroom. So it's working out really well. He's staying pretty much on track.
I think he's doing fantastic.
He's doing great, and
he's reading well. He's writing well.
We've talked about that. He's going to learn at his pace. So if he falls behind a grade level or just falls behind in general, we're not really concerned about that. He's going to learn at his pace. He's going to be the person that he is. There's really nothing we can do to speed things up or accelerate things for him to learn faster, if you will. So if he does fall behind, it is what it is. So
right.
we're not going to be concerned about that.
Right. And we're really working here to help him with his basics in school, for reading and for writing and different things. The social aspect, we just work on that as well. I know he doesn't get to sit in a classroom and have all that interaction opportunities with peers 5 days a week, but he does have opportunities when he goes to his therapy, which is 3 days a week. And then also in his other music therapy, there is another child there. So, the opportunities are there. I'm not saying Bryce.
And really, let's be realistic. If he was in a classroom right now, he wouldn't be interacting.
Maybe just like at recess or, at lunchtime is what I'm thinking would be the only times, really, not during the actual class time. But I've taken it upon myself to put his social schedule together and really focusing on finding ways for him to become more social, because I recognize that I think academically he's going to continue to soar, where I think he may fall behind without more intentional help will be on the social aspect.
Yeah.
And I'm putting some tools together, and I'll probably do another podcast just on that, because I'm really digging for some better resources to help me with him at this age.
Yeah, and we know that social is a deficit right now, so we're doubling down on that.
It's probably his number one, along with the language coming along. Number 4, do you watch The Good Doctor? And we've been asked that a few times.
Yes, it's one of our favorite shows. So we watch The Good Doctor, and you know what? It gives us hope. And, even though the actor doesn't have autism, I think he does a terrific job playing an autistic doctor. And I think it could be realistic, because there are really high functioning, if you will, people out there that are going to be doctors, and that are going to be skilled like The Good Doctor portrays. Right.
And what I really enjoy about the show, and we don't watch very many shows together, so it's we don't watch a whole lot of TV. So we try to make our time count with what little bit we have. But this is one of our shows that we really enjoy. And I think they do a great job of showing how he has awkwardness with social, which I think is going to be our big thing that's going to happen
with patients,
doctors, with coworkers, with now they're exploring into him with a love life, and getting hurt, and how does he handle that? And I mean, I think they try to make it very real. And so, I've heard other autism parents say, I don't even bother watching that because there's nothing real about it. While others, I don't know if they watched it or not. I think it's great insight to the autism world. So I'm thankful that they have a show like that out there. And while it's not about a 6-year-old like Bryce, I still think it gives a lot of truths as to what it is like for an adult to have autism. He is
very
amazing.
Good actor, yeah.
So yes, we do watch that. Number 5, and the last question we'll answer today is someone asked me, where is Bryce, and is he high functioning, low functioning, was kind of how the question came out. So I tried to answer that in a way that that someone could understand. And so I don't really get into the high functioning, low functioning. We hear often, Bryce is high functioning. I mean, people who observe him will say he's high functioning, and I get what they're saying. There is an end of the spectrum, and he's at the higher end of that spectrum. But I found that they have now 3 levels. And so that's the medical way of viewing it, and there's 1, 2, and 3. Which level does he fall into?
What's that scale called?
So I don't know that I have the actual name of the scale, but I did. I mean, it's what's in the form. I'm not good at like the medical stuff, but
I think it's called the DSM-5
5.1 or something. I think that's what it is. DSM 5.1.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna. Where I got this information that I was looking at, to answer this on the podcast, I'll go ahead and put the link in the show notes. And, so number 1 is more severe, where just the headline is requiring.
I think number 1 is less
or
severe.
Level 3. I'm so sorry. Thank you, baby. Level 3 would be requiring very substantial support, which that's not Bryce. He doesn't have the very substantial support because he is verbal and he's able to communicate with us now. And,
number 3 would probably be mostly nonverbal kiddos.
Mostly nonverbal, or where they can just say a few words, or they have difficulty transitioning, difficult with change.
They need a lot of hands-on.
Difficult going out in public, and I know we've witnessed that, and we have friends that live in that world. So we know level 3. Level 2 is bulleted as requiring substantial support, and then number 1 is just requiring support. So, reading through this, I can see where Bryce is flourishing right now. So he's definitely still in level 2, but I feel like he's knocking on the door of level 1. And I understand, and I'm prepared that children can regress, and I've heard about that, but I trust God in all of this. It's just a guide to go by. And if someone asks the question, well, where is Bryce on the spectrum? I can answer that he's at level 2, but I feel like I can say he's at level 2, knocking on level 1, because he does still need quite a bit of support. So, I just have some hope that maybe he'll get to level 1, reading this. He definitely needs quite a bit of support. He cannot carry a conversation back and forth. And he definitely he's got major social deficits. He just does not know how to interact with people, but he wants to.
I think we're almost able to achieve a conversation. Almost. I think we
he's
can
wanting
do.
to.
Yeah, we can do maybe a 2 or 3 thing exchange right now. But it's rare.
I was going to say it's rare, and usually you and I can bounce a conversation with him more because we know Bryce. We know what he likes. We know what topics to bring up.
Yeah.
We know how to ask the question. With a complete stranger, they'd be lucky if they got one response.
Sure.
They get
That's
one,
a good point.
but they may not get 2.
That's a good point. We know our kiddos best, and we know how to ask them the questions
we can navigate
in the way that they understand.
Yeah, we can navigate it to where it feels like it's conversation. Hey, which we'll take that.
Yes.
Because we did not have that for a long time where you and I can navigate that. So, that's hope out there that, hey, you can get to this point. Because trust me, we used to not be there at all. But, the goal would be that at some point he can have a conversation, but he may still have those social awkwardness that we would work with. And he would even recognize that he has that. At this point, he's oblivious to all
completely.
of that. He's totally still in the level 2, but I just feel like reading it, okay, I think maybe we can get there. Let's just keep working toward that. But to answer that question, he's definitely at a level 2. He still requires, a substantial support, not just support, but he does require substantial support. But again, he's only 6.5. We got a long journey ahead of us. You and I just keep saying, you know what, when he's 10, we'll know more. I'm not even saying 7, 8, or 9. I'm just saying when he's 10, we'll know more.
Yeah.
We'll reassess things.
He's going to develop at his pace.
And when people ask me right now, how's Bryce? My question is, Bryce is wonderful.
He's good.
And Bryce,
so joyful.
He is joyful. He is happy. Yes, we have stuff we deal with, but Bryce is Bryce, and we love him so much. And he's a happy, happy boy. And that's our answer, because that's how it is right now.
Yep.
So I want to thank everybody who reached out and asked us questions. And if I didn't get to yours, I'm sure we will do this again. And I also want to just put out there that for those of you who have reached out to me for prayer, and there have been some of you who have done that to ask me how to specifically pray for your needs, I just put together a prayer board in our home office here, and I would love to be able to pray for you. So if you want to send us a note and reach out to us and let us know how we can specifically pray for you, your child, and your family, we would be happy to put you on our prayer board. We just lift it up to God, and we even follow up and check and see how you guys are doing, and see, how we can continue to pray for you. And I just want to put that out there, because we understand and we value and covet the prayers of other people. That's helped us, and it continues to help us, because I know we have people who pray for us every day. Yes, my mom and my dad, but we have other people who just love Bryce,
gives us peace,
and love us, and they pray for us to have peace when it's difficult. And I will have friends reach out and say, how can I pray for you today? And it's like, whatever it is at that particular time, it's nice to know that other people are lifting us up, and we want to offer that same opportunity to pray for you. So is there anything else, babe?
I think that wraps up the Q&A.
Okay.
So we'll wrap it.
We'll wrap it, and we'll be back to chat again soon. And again, thanks for taking time out of your day to listen to us. For those of you who have recently written reviews, and even in the past, we thank you for that. I mean, it means so much to us that we know that this is helping. Yeah, that you're listening, but not that you're just listening, that you're finding value in this, and that it's helping you. And that's when we hear that, it's like putting, fuel in our tank to keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that. So yeah, we're here for you guys. And if you need anything, just let us know. On that note, we're going to say have a wonderful day.
Episode 39 in the books.
We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Bye.